everyone, welcome to the Age of Listening channel. Hopefully this is going to be number 8 and hopefully I can fit in this to be the last in the series of how to hear and see better spiritually. So there's two ways to go at this, because there's people that have been brought up with religion and there's people that haven't, and I've somehow got to incorporate both of you, because if you've belonged to a religion at all, there'll be certain things that you're used to doing and you've transferred those kind of experiences into this new spiritual place that you want to be, and they don't really work that way. So bear with me while I explain that to you. I can sum this up by saying, and by the way, don't let it trigger you, please, guys. When I say God, I'm only talking about not the man-made religion that's hurt millions of people. I'm talking about the God that is above all things. I mean, at the end of the day, if you believe in aliens, somebody made the aliens. Do you know what I mean? So let's just think broad-minded here, and let's kind of don't be triggered by the word God. But, you know, it just kind of sums it up. I was brought up in the church for 50 years, as everybody knows on here. And so I kind of still refer to God because I don't really know another word. I always thought I was convening for the last, as long as I can remember as a child. I've been listening to what I classed as the Holy Spirit for absolutely ages. Now I'm not so sure what I would class it as, but I've got most of the sort of clairs under my belt, and so I hear and see and sense and, you know, the whole shebang. But I mostly see pictures and audio, okay? Inside and out of my head, both those. And Spirit really wanted me, my guide really wanted me to help other people to get into this, take the next step up on the ladder, and that's why I'm doing this that's why I started this channel. So bearing that all in mind, that's my disclaimer. Be still and know that I am God. That and the kingdom of heaven is within you is pretty much, in any religion you're in, they've got those two sorts of sentences. That's kind of it. But, you know, in the religious church, we've kind of put it in a box and made it very difficult for a lot of Christian people and whatever religion. But I feel that it's worthwhile just going through how I helped myself get a hearing from Spirit straight away. Before I had to rely on whenever it came, and this little thing helped me to get through that. And then I'm going to show you another really easy way. So the old way that I started out was I classed it as 5 different rooms that I'd walk through, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were like the 5 steps. And I did it for, you know, days really. And then I didn't need to even use it. But I feel that I need to go through this because I think there's people that will understand the concept. So we usually, especially in the church, you start out with praise. You're praising God, oh, you're so wonderful. It's very loud, and it's, you know, it's all very sort of puffing God up with all this, you know, you're just great, yeah. Then it goes to requests, right? A request to pray for Auntie Janine and Auntie this and Uncle that. And then you sort of run out of requests and you tend to go into a worship, you know, more of a quiet. It's not so much praising God, but now just going into that worshipfulness of, you know, probably truly meaning it. Then you go into a silence space where you kind of, you've got nothing left to say. You've said everything and you've ran out of words. And then lastly, you've got resting in the presence of God and resting in that amazing, wonderful love and peace. And then you give God a chance to talk to you. Now, that's what I did, and it started, I think the first time I got to that so I could hear the Holy Spirit on purpose, it took hours. I did it every single day, and I got it down to 30 seconds. No, sorry, 3 seconds. So the more I did this and understood this, the quicker I was able to tap in. Bear with me. This is going to be this is going to make sense. So most people go into praising, and praise is really shrugging off the rubbish feelings you've been feeling. You go into church, everyone's clapping or whatever, or shouting or screaming or singing loudly or whatever, and you're not really meaning any of it. You've struggled, you've probably rowed with your kids and rowed with your husband or wife, and you're not really in a good enough mood to hear from God, but you're going to sing it out loud. And then once you've had your fill, then you go into that requesting, as I said before. Now, usually people get to this stage at home, and they get to that stage and give up. They're bored. It's all been a bit one way, and they're not heard anything, so they give up. Then some people carry on with worship, and they're able to push through into this worship room where suddenly they actually mean the praise now. Now they're actually really, truly thankful for where they actually are, and who it is that they're talking to, and what that God has done for them. Now, again, we lose a lot of people at this point. They may have backache. They may be bored now. They've had enough. They felt the presence of God, so, okay, that'll do. They may be thirsty. They may have forgotten something they've got to do, or they feel like they've given enough. And this is a bartering sort of atmosphere. I've done enough. That's good. And they walk away. But you've now got to keep going and go and sit in the silence. When you get that place where you've stopped worshipping, go into the next room, because the next room is silence. And most people are very scared of silence. And they tend, that place where you shut up is actually that beautiful resting place of drifting into that listening place where you've turned off your emotions, you've turned off your thinking left brain, you've let go of everything through worship. Usually worship is a great place where you just let go and realize, grief, in the grand scheme of things, what am I worrying about half the time? And with some of the things that are very big, you're able to go, do you know what? I need to let go. I need to walk away from that. Or I need to trust. And then you go, as in the previous video, into that lunar space of just take 2 big breaths, or 3 if you want. Relax your jawline, relax your shoulders, and just be. And once you're in that place, you're in the hermit mode. And that hermit mode is where Luna, from the last video, that's where Luna is. She's in that hermit mode. And if you power through, don't give up there after the silence, but power through to resting in the presence of God, that's where you get into the Holy of Holies, and that's where you suddenly, your guide, the Holy Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, is then able to talk to you. And so this is the religious bit that a lot of us have been used to. We've bartered with God. I've given you time, that should be enough. you've appeased the angry God, or you've appeased the God that looks at works first. And so you think, oh, I've done enough. And, you know, all doing it to please this God. So a lot of people never get to the Holy of Holies. Now, what I found I was able to do was just do this. Just shut off, go instantly into the resting presence of the Most High. And I was able to just be there instantaneously. All I had to do was take some breaths, relax my shoulders, relax my jawline, so physically relax. Take those breaths and let go of your thinking. Let go of any emotions and drift. Just drift away. Now, some people from a religious background can say, well, hold on, that's when the devil comes in. You know, because that's what I was taught. Oh, no, you can't. Meditation, no, you let the devil in. You let the devil in who's already at home in your life. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I know people disagree, and I'll lose people who watch me, but I've seen, I've been on this planet for 50 years. I've been hearing the Holy Spirit pretty much as old as I can remember, and I was told I was speaking to Spirit when I was 2 or 3 years old, as early as I could. As early as I could walk, I was seeing spirits and all sorts of things. And as I've grown up into a 50-year-old woman, I've realised that I try to control as much as I can what I think and feel. If it isn't in love, if I'm not being nice, then I stop. So I've learnt that the Chariot card. I decide what I feel. I decide what I think. I'm not run by my feelings. I'm very good at that, and I'm big-headed on that. I'm not brilliant, but I'm good at it. But I tell you, I've got the scars to prove it, because it has been a battle to not be run by your emotions. Be that Luna. And that doesn't mean walking like a, you know, all floaty and you know, waving your joysticks around and having bells on your clothes and your bags and stuff and looking the part. No, it's about being the strongest you can be. It's about not allowing negative thinking into your brain, and it will become second nature, I absolutely promise you. So I'll give you, for instance, and you'll have heard this story, so I'll be very brief. If I have a negative thought that comes to my mind during meditation, I tell it to go shove. I just tell it to go away. And then I go back to where I am. I go back to the place I should be. If I start thinking about the washing up, I stop and I go, no, just let go. Just be in the present. And at that point, if you can master those two things, you will be balanced. Because whenever you're letting your emotions run, you disconnect from source. You disconnect when you're in emotions. Yeah? I often find that if you're in, you know, angry, sad, fearful, distress or panic, you're so not connected to source. It's going to be, you've kind of got to go away, sort yourself out, then go back and start meditating. We've spoken earlier about being very careful with the egos of fear and the closed mind, and having an arrogant mind or a fearful mind, having a judgmental mind. And you've got to be in the centre. It's got to be that fine line in the centre towards Christ consciousness. And the way to do that is to be a lunar. It really is. Now, because this is the end, remember I brought this up about balance, where we looked at material, where if you're over towards the material earth, or the worried about the planet Earth, your feet are planted on the earth, and you've not stayed on that renewed mind. These are all up. I've done all these before, but I'm just going over it. It's all about balance. And here we looked at what balance looks like. It looks like this. And you must be aligned in your feelings and your thoughts with higher consciousness, with the most loving Creator God. And you will be straight as a die, straight up. And you'll manifest what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And in this time that we're in, you've got to spend more time being still. Go into that lunar space. Look it up, Harry Potter Luna. Luna's best moments. And realise that Luna was never in her, well, not never, but she was very rarely in her emotions, and she was very rarely in her thinking. She was tapped in 100% to spirit. She was tapped in. She wasn't airy-fairy. Everyone sort of thinks, oh, she's so floaty and she's all about her emotions. No, she wasn't. If anything, she was more Spock-like. Luna wasn't being led by her emotions, and she wasn't being led by her right brain. She was permanently in the hermit mode, and that is perfect alignment. And that's why she was such a stable force amongst all the other pupils in Harry Potter, who were all led by their emotions and their feelings or their logical mind. But she was very stable. And if you can grasp that, then you'll have grasped how to be in the Holy of Holies, or you'll be able to understand that H is for Holy of Holies, or you'll be able to get into that meditative place. I had a conversation, I'll say this quickly, I had a conversation with somebody, and they were talking about meditation, and she's when she's in that place, she's thinking this and thinking that. And I was like, no, stop thinking. You're thinking too much. Because she wanted to be able to hear spirit herself clearer and louder. And I said, when you're thinking or you're feeling, you are invading the space that spirit wants to occupy. So that has just come to me, by the way. That's amazing. I wish I could write things down and remember. So here, I was thinking of, I do maths with my boys with like pie charts at the moment. Fractions, don't you hate them? Anyway, if you go into wanting to hear from your guide, the love of your life, my guide is the love of my life, my biggest protector, full of joy and peace, always there to help me. It's wonderful. And I call it God because I don't know what else to call it. Once I did try and ask, and when I tried to ask, it tried to channel into me, like really take over, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really up for that. And I said, look, if you're love and you're from God, you can stay, but if you're not, I don't want to know. And it went. So we all always have a choice, but you've got to use your head, you've got to use common sense, you know. Just use common sense. Do you let everybody in your house? If someone knocks at the door, do you let it in? No. You go, who's there? If you don't know them, ask them questions. I'm not letting you in, I don't know who you are. Well, the same with our spiritual self as well. It's exactly the same way. So when people go, oh, I was possessed, well, shouldn't have let them in, should you? That sounds really harsh. I am sorry. But I'm fed up of not speaking my truth when people say, oh, you're channeling the devil. It's like, no, I'm not. You probably are. If you see the devil everywhere, you're going to see the devil everywhere. If you're going to see God everywhere, you'll see God everywhere. If you fill your mind and your heart with, you know, with fear, you're going to see a lot of things to be fearful of. You are what you think on, you are what you feel. So here's your mind. So if your mind is full of left brain, that's supposed to be left brain, told you I'm dyslexic, left brain thinking, you know, always something in the back of your mind, you've not really let go, there's always something, could be the shopping list, well, I can meditate but for not too long because I've got the ironing to do before I go and pick up the kids. Yeah, it can just be any of that rubbish, right? Well, it's not rubbish, but if you're trying to meditate, it's kind of in the way. And then here are your feelings. You've come to meditation, but you're feeling sad, lonely, fearful. Where you need to be is in a neutral, can't sure if you can say that word. You need to be in a neutral state. Okay, so I'm trying to find a green. Is that neutral? I know I probably spelt it wrong, sorry. This neutral, yeah, it's an R in it, neutral. Oh, do you know what? You know what it is. There's a neutral place, the sweet spot. And this is a place where it's fuzzy. You're looking out of the window. You've let go of all that upsets you. You've allowed yourself to just drift into a beautiful place where there's no worries, no cares, just love, just light. You've allowed yourself to not consider the things that have been on your mind recently, and instead you're just focusing on nothing. You're focusing on just breathing out and enjoying the here and now. When all around is falling apart, sometimes the only thing you can be grateful for, to be happy about, is, hey, I'm still breathing. It's that space of just everything letting go. And you feel free. and you feel at peace. It's neutral. It's neutral. And that's where, that is the place where God is able to shoot in. Need a brighter green than that. That's where God can come in and talk to you. All that beautiful fresh space where there's no judgments, no preconceptions. You haven't got an agenda. It's just one of openness and love. And you will attract love. You'll attract source that is just full of love for you. If you have a doubt and you're slightly worried and you think to yourself, oh, but what if it is somebody that's pretending to be love and it's not really? Well, my advice would be just to say, are you full of love and light? Are you? And be prepared to chuck them out. Are you love and light? Are you for my highest calling and my highest being and my highest good? Are you? Because if you are, you can stay, but if you're not, you can go. And mean it. So can you see that if you've got your mind full of feelings and you've got your mind full of thinking, and it can be, you know, whenever I see somebody who's led by their feelings way too much, they're often overthinkers anyway. Yeah? So those things have to switch off. Go into the lunar space. Go into that sweet spot of neutrality. And just be. Just be. And be happy with resting in the presence of God, the Holy of Holies. And it's a great place to be. And you'll hear. And this might take you a few hours. It may take you a few minutes. Or it may happen instantly. But it will happen if you persevere. It's very difficult sometimes for us to switch off our thinking and switch off our feeling. Okay, I hope that helped. If you've got any questions, or what I was thinking of doing was asking if you guys have got anything that you'd like me to talk about, literally a specific kind of question, not about yourself, because then it can go a little bit too much like a personal reading. But is there a question about spirituality and hearing from God that you'd like to know? And I could start doing a series on those. All right then, bye-bye.